Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick. I am a very stable genius. Also, my name is Matt Atchity.
That was last week's joke. Let's keep it fresh.
Come on.
Alonso Duralde, welcome.
Star of the Gorilla Channel.
Yeah, you are really
I know.
digging in deep from last week. Okay, yes, everybody read Fire and Fury over the weekend, and they watched the Golden Globes, presumably, where, you know, it's the Golden Globes, whatever, you know,
right.
Carrie
of all
Ricky.
the shows that when you talk about, of all the shows that don't matter, this one
doesn't matter the most.
Doesn't matter the most.
Yeah,
matters the least.
I think Carrie Ricky said, she goes, every year at this time, I'm reminded of the show business figure who referred to, yes, the Golden Globes, the finest awards the studios can still buy.
Yeah, right. The Hollywood Foreign Press was the subject of one of the pretty solid jokes that Seth Meyers made last night. 3 things that Trump hates: Hollywood, foreign and press. I thought, you know, so let's talk about the show a little bit itself. Yeah. I thought that Seth Meyers threaded the needle of a difficult kind of position he's in, being a, you know, white dude coming in on the heels of a lot of coverage of you know, kind of harassment and the Me Too and the Time's Up and
you had all the women in attendance and most of the men really wearing all black as a way to sort of signal that hopefully this is a sea change in Hollywood, and talking about the Time's Up Foundation. Interestingly, it was pointed out afterwards that no man talked about Time's Up or the issue of the evening from the podium during their speech. Like the Handmaid's Tale producer came the closest. He said something like, let's keep this from happening. But pretty much every mention about like wage disparity or sexual harassment or activism or feminism all came from the women who won awards last night.
Wow.
So clearly, which in itself is a point, you know, is the point of the thing. You know, as for the awards, whatever, it's these are mainly, I think, taken seriously as sort of a bellwether for Oscar nominations and.
Right, I mean, look, like it's a big glamorous show. We've said this a million times. Like one of the fun things about watching this show is that everybody's drinking all night, right? Yeah. As opposed to the Oscars where it's harder to be drinking all night.
They didn't seem so boozy this year.
No,
I think everybody was taking it too seriously this year, which I understand given the overall scope of how they were doing the event.
And you got to figure there's a bunch of people, you know, a bunch of dudes especially like, oh, wait a minute, maybe we need to kind of behave.
Yeah, it's
act
hard.
Like the Squares act.
There was I think Mark Harris might have written on Vulture. It's like, you know, the Oscars sort of, people take it seriously in and of itself. So the Globes is sort of the place where they can mouth off and talk about the things they really want to talk about. You know, so last year we had that amazing Meryl Streep speech, you know, which never mentioned Trump by name, but was about sort of human dignity and the arts and that kind of thing. And this year we had Oprah, you know, who I think also really kind of stirred the crowd and was
that was a hell of a speech.
It was the right speech for the right moment. Let's calm down with the Oprah 2020 stuff.
No, but I mean that's
the right wing already gave us like an unqualified TV person as president. We don't need to follow in those footsteps.
Right. I will say though, that was, you know, and look, not to take away from this shows what somebody like Oprah can do, going, you know, knowing that she's going to have that spotlight, knowing that she's going to have that audience, knowing that she's got time to prepare to say something really important.
Yeah.
And you get, you know, it's a reminder of why Oprah is who she is and how smart she is as far as her persona and what she does in the media, and being able to say something in a big way that people are going to talk about and ideally have an impact.
It was the right speech at the right event at the right moment in time. So all of those things.
The other person who really had that last night was absolutely Natalie Portman.
Yeah,
I thought that. Come on, I thought that was rad.
Here's the thing. Like, yes, she was totally right to call out the HFPA for nominating 5 men in a year that gave us Greta Gerwig, whose movie won Best Picture, Lady Bird, and, you know, Dee Reese and Patty Jenkins and certainly any number of other candidates. And if she had come out and immediately said, the men nominated tonight all share a blah, 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 and like gotten that out of the way, it's like, yes, absolutely a sick burn that needed to be made. To say it right before the nominations get read out though, you had 5 dudes kind of going, and the thing is, it's not their fault. They didn't decide that all the nominees were gonna be men. That's the HFPA. On the other hand, I've also seen like the way you make changes by making the powerful people uncomfortable. So
yeah,
she certainly did that.
No, look, like it's this. I see that in the same, through a similar lens of why. I mean, not to turn this into a sports discussion, but I feel like half the reason there's people flipping out about Kaepernick and him kneeling during the anthem is like, hey, don't get your politics in the way of my sports where I can just turn my brain off. Like, no, that's why he needs to do it, because that's where people are paying attention.
And the Globes have, like I said, have already sort of become the venue for this sort of thing because there's nothing else going on at that show. You might as well use it to be a mouthpiece, you know. And heaven knows what would Dana Loesch do in her NRA spots if she couldn't fulminate about their award shows. So, you know.
Speaking of award show, I can't wait for Wednesday.
What's Wednesday?
The fake news awards.
Oh,
ooh.
I love that Colbert took out a for your consideration.
Yeah,
Billboard.
we should have too.
That was genius. I'm sure you were thrilled that Greatest Showman got the Best Song award.
No, I was not. I was not thrilled. Not thrilled.
You know, but you know, if you're an Oscar watcher, I suppose, like, you know, this gives Sam Rockwell a boost because Willem Dafoe's been sort of running the table up until this point. James Franco has a boost. Although, you know, again, there was given the sort of feminist nature of the evening, there was a lot of dragging of both James Franco and Kirk Douglas for various allegations swirling around the two of them. We'll see if either of those erupt into something more substantial anytime soon.
I like that people, I find it kind of funny that people are a little irked that Tommy Wiseau didn't get a chance to talk, and it's a little like,
you know what?
Man, I don't know that I want to hear from Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah,
like,
I think, especially on a show where like they're playing for time, you let Tommy start talking, he's not going to stop.
Well, but also, like, look, if this is I mean, over and above other issues going on with The Room, I'm going to call it out. That is possibly one of the most misogynistic movies I've ever seen.
Well,
right?
yes.
And so really, do we want to, like, are we going to really cry that Tommy Wiseau doesn't get a time to talk now?
No. Yeah, I think the fact that he was there and he was on stage was plenty. Okay. You know, and to be fair, the disaster artist acknowledges those issues with The Room. You know?
Right. All right. Anything else that we're particularly excited about?
You know, Allison Janney, I think, is going to give Laurie Metcalf a real run for her money in the Academy Awards. Apparently,
yeah, I think so too. I was, you know, it was nice to see. Was nice to see what's his name win for Best Actor in a TV series. Sterling K. Brown. I liked that a lot, and I liked his speech where he talked about colorblind casting versus somebody written, which I think is important, right?
No,
and it's
totally.
Look, like I know that there's people who get sick of us talking about that, but you know, my take on this a little bit is we watch. You know, start watching movies. Like start watching a movie a day, and you'll get to a point where you realize how many movies are, like the overwhelming number of movies and TV shows that cover a very narrow point of view and a very narrow kind of life experience. And so I personally, like, okay, enough with this kind of story. I kind of want to see different stories.
Yeah, totally. No, no question. I think the other sort of takeaway from all this is going to be, you know, the closer we get to the end of award season, the more you are hearing controversy about 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Like there are people who really hate that movie and really have problems with that movie.
Right. You know, if it was 2 billboards, they'd be less mad.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
3.
Much less of a thing. But no, you know, just the racial politics of that film and just a lot of the other issues. So that it did really well with won Best Drama, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Screenplay. You know, that's going to be a conversation that continues up until Oscars, I guess.
All right. So what's our next show? Critics' Choice?
Is it?
Yes.
I guess.
Critics' Choice is this week. Yes.
Do they maybe mean less than the Golden Globes? Only because fewer people watch, and so it's the tree falling in the forest. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see.
Whatever.
All right. Well, so that's our Golden Globes coverage.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Winners.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. I mean, if it seems a little thin and a little, you know, kind of superficial on our part, it's because it is.
It's
So
consider the source. There you go.